You're listening to Served Up, a podcast that features inspiring beverage professionals and topic experts that share their passions through meaningful conversations. I'm your host, Bridget Albert, also known as the Market Fresh Mixologist, an industry mentor with decades of experience. Grab a cocktail and sit back. Let's learn how we can make a positive impact in our industry. Hey y'all, it's Bridget here. Today I'm joined by someone whose energy is as bold as the spirits he represents, Cesar Sandoval. He is a national portfolio ambassador for Casa Lumbre, the powerhouse behind some of the most innovative and culturally rich spirits coming out of Mexico today. He isn't just an expert in agave and ancestral distillation. He's a passionate storyteller, educator, and a connector who brings Mexican heritage to life in every pour and every conversation. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a glass of your favorite Casa Lumbre spirit, and enjoy this episode. Cesar, welcome to Served Up. It is really great to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Bridget. Happy to be here.
Oh, absolutely. You know, before we really jump into what you're doing today, can you give our listeners a bit about your background, right? So where'd you grow up? Did you think that you were going to be, a teacher, a fireman, a ballerina? Or, did you really know for sure that you were going to hop right into beverage?
It's funny. It's almost like it came to me without knowing. I'm a first generation Mexican-American. I was born in El Paso, Texas, and my family's from Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua. So I'm the firstborn there. I come from a single mother and two amazing sisters. So three powerful and very influential women in my life. And my mom moved to San Diego when I was young. And I like to say that it all started in her kitchen, because some of the fondest memories that I have of my family and what we did was hosting people, being in the kitchen, listening to music, one's cutting chiles, the other one's cutting tomatoes, onions, etc. And so I like to think that my hospitality industry career started there, that I did not know. But we have, Mexican hospitality, one of the greatest on earth. I like to compare it to, what's the Beatles lyric? I may not have a lot to give, but what I have, I'll give to you. And that's sort of innate in me. I love connecting people. I love giving them instant gratification, whether it's through a cocktail, through food, or whatever we can. So I think that Mexican hospitality is one of the best. And I think that's where it started. So kind of did that. I'm also a musician. I play drums currently, and I play a couple other instruments. So I think years down the line, later at 15, I needed to save money and buy my drum set. So I had to look for a job. And I started at this very fancy restaurant called Chili's, Brinker and that whole company. And that's kind of where the first career started. I started as a host, and then quickly, the lead host, and then busser, and et cetera, et cetera. And then the natural progression to leading bars and different, bar positions. And then eventually it led to me taking a trip down to Tequila, to Jalisco, for these Fortaleza, Don Fulano, Arete, and at the time Derrumbes as well, and La Venenosa. And so it was this trip, and I kind of fell in love. And that trip really ignited me, not only learning about agave and tequila in Mexico, but I asked myself a question, kind of like, man, I need to know more about my own culture and where I come from. And I think that kind of started spinning the wheels in my brain. And later on, did another trip, same sort of style of trip. And I remember the third or fourth time, I can't remember how many times, but essentially one of those, Sergio Mendoza from Don Fulano hits me up and he goes, "Are you coming to the next one?" I said, "I can't, unfortunately, XYZ. He said, "Well, what if I buy your trip? I'd love to chat with you. I want you to come and I want to have some conversations with you." I said, "All right, cool. Sounds great." Knew Guillermo, knew all those good people. And it's the trip, but I wasn't as a guest. I was with Sergio. We were talking. We had group A come, or first group comes in. He does this beautiful intro. And eventually, they leave. He does the tour, etc. And then group 2 comes in. He does his beautiful intro as well. And then he switches off and he says, And now Cesar is going to give you the distillery tour. And so he just kind of put me on the spot. And I said, all right, cool. Challenge accepted. Did the distillery tour, went great. I'm sure he had secret shoppers in there, and everything went well. And that's when I got offered the job to represent Don Fulano Tequila. And I helped out Fortaleza and Arete and everything. And then that's kind of where that brand ambassadorship kind of started, and did that for a couple of years. And then naturally, again, the progression, right? I get a call from Camille Lawson down the road, and now I'm here representing Casa Lumbre Spirits in its entirety. So representing Mexico still, but in a different form and different spirits and different categories.
I really love your story. I think that you really started off with just the core and the heartbeat of hospitality, which starts a lot of times at home, right? What we learned from our mothers, our grandmothers. I learned all about flavor from my mother. So, what we had in the pantry, what was growing in the garden is what we had. We also didn't have a lot of money, so we had to be extremely resourceful. So if cucumbers weren't growing in the winter, we sure as hell didn't have any cucumbers on the table, right? But in summertime, we had tons, right? And so I do feel like there's an appreciation for both, flavor, for craft, for culinary, if it starts out, especially in your childhood and at home. And then when you say, you went on to work at Chili's, I think that that's amazing and something we should not sleep on, because working at like a Chili's, an Applebee's, Outback Steakhouse, any of those things, any national account is tough, because a lot of times, not only, you might get thrown into a position, but typically there's a lot of training behind the scenes, especially if you wind up behind one of those bars. And a lot of times you're really fucking busy, and you got to be cranking out all sorts of different cocktails or specials or happy hours and really know a menu inside and out. So I do think that it's a fantastic opportunity to get your start beyond the bar. And I'm so happy you did a great job on the tour.
Yeah, I agree. I was just having this conversation about how much it impacted me to start at somewhere like the Chili's and the Applebee's and the et cetera. Those companies that are national, the foundation is so strong. Obviously, they've been around for a while, and the training is so meticulous and everything. And I think that foundation kind of set me up for success, because I forget who I was talking to, but that foundation, having, you can't build anything without a solid foundation. And that's the best place to start. So even now when I get, either a DM or a text, or maybe it's someone, in conversation saying, I kind of want to get into the industry, where do I start? And honestly, I go, well, first of all, what kind of bartender, server, what do you want to do? And then that'll kind of lead me. But if I could, I always recommend them to go to a corporation that has a solid foundation, because you can only go up from there.
I agree with you so much. Can you take the listeners through a day in a life of what it is like to be a national portfolio ambassador for Casa Lumbre Spirits? What does that look like? What does that mean?
Yeah, well, what it means is that you're an advocate of the brand. You are responsible for education, for the feeling, the look, essentially everything that represents the brand. And I know that's kind of broad, but I think the best representation of the brand ambassadors that are out there, and there are a ton of brand ambassadors that are amazing out there. But when I think of a brand ambassador of a specific person, if they look at you or mention your name and they think of the brand, or vice versa, if they look at that brand, if they look at that back bar and they say, look at bottle X, it's right there. Oh my God, you remember person Y. So I think that's the best representation. But education is obviously probably one of the biggest parts, and bringing that brand to life. So as a brand ambassador, you have to be ready for anything. You have to be sort of adaptable, ready to pivot at any point. COVID did that for me. I had to learn how to do everything digital. How do I get a ton of samples into a bunch of people's hands while I can't see them or go to their market? So I think it's a little bit of everything. You have to have some admin skills, basic email, Excel, Word, etc., PowerPoint presentation skills. You have to be able to talk to the marketing team and help them out. You have to be able to be the Swiss Army knife tool to the commercial team that's out there trying to sell and get menu placements. So it's a little bit of everything. And I think the best brand ambassadors that do the work out there are authentic to not only themselves, but the brand. The brand connects to them. I could never see myself selling anything that I don't believe in. And that's why the tequila part for the first part and now Casa Lumbre Spirits is so natural to me. And I think that's why, number one, I love what I do, but I think I'm really good at it in a natural way. And I'm not trying to be anyone or fake anything.
Yeah. Yeah. You come across so authentic. And I think that such a good lesson, right? If we all can just be ourselves, what a just a better world this would be. Just show
And
up as your true self, right?
a weight off your shoulders. It's one of those things.
Absolutely.
Once you can accept yourself, everyone can tell you, hey, Bridget, you're beautiful. Hey, Bridget, you're so talented. You're so smart. All of these beautiful compliments. But if you don't believe it, it doesn't mean anything.
No, it doesn't mean anything at all. Yeah, for sure. What are some of the challenges as a brand ambassador that you had to overcome? Like, what lessons have you learned? Because I think a lot of times, especially for those that are listening that have maybe have never heard of the term brand ambassador because they're new to the industry, right?
Yeah.
And they're just really curious about beverage and maybe not understand that, look, this job isn't just about going in and starting a party for everybody at a bar. You have some serious real work behind it. So what are some of the challenges that you have had to overcome? And what are some of the lessons that you've learned?
Well, plenty of lessons and plenty of challenges. I think some of the challenges is, and it's hard because again, I love what I do. I represent authentically in my way. Is the biggest challenge is the quote unquote work-life balance. I think for me, I mean, I get it. I trust me. I understand this balance, but it's so innate in me to work. I still go to restaurants and I still want to stack the plates for the bartender that's coming up. I still want to do things for them to make their lives easier. And so for me, that has always been a challenge. And I have accepted that this is who I am. I will never have the quote unquote work-life balance that everyone thinks is healthy. I love what I do. I'm good at it again. And I'm just happy. It just brings me so much joy to be around these industry professionals and people that I admire. And as far as lessons, there have been many. I think early in my career when I was started to do interviews with, magazine outlets and et cetera, was how quickly your words can be either twisted, manipulated, or even just misunderstood. Knowing what to say and sometimes what not to say. Sometimes you just open up and you feel, wow, I have such a great connection with Bridget. I'm just going to tell her everything. And you could be genuine. And then some people might just take it and say, oh, Cesar said he did not like XYZ. And then that's the headline or whatever. So I also empathize for the celebrities or all those people that are out there, because I can only imagine how many, misconstrued messaging is out there. But that's definitely one of the big lessons that I learned very early on. And then the things that the other lesson that I learned was being able to, again, to be adaptable. But social media, sure, I posted some things here and there, but it's essentially your daily resume. It's just as important as a resume now. People look at what you put out. And one of the lessons is that I have now a responsibility and I can easily influence someone, which can be very good. But if I'm putting out negative comments, negative things, or negative energy out there, they can easily be influenced that way. So the responsibility falls on me to educate people, to promote positivity, DEI, et cetera, for those people that are watching me and, maybe want to be in my position one day.
You mentioned DEI. Can you talk about why that's important to you?
Yeah, I think giving out that, again, I feel like one of the biggest things is coming from a solid foundation, speaking up of three women, of never having a brother or a father figure. I think it's really important for me that the first thing I look for is Latinas, as far as being Mexican and Latino myself, is when I think there needs to be more female in this industry. I understand why they might not feel safe in these type of environments. I think they're much smarter than us males in general. So they're probably like, I shouldn't be out there. I'm a doctor. I'm a whatever else. But I think there needs to be more females and more Latinas in general. So that's very important to me to have equal representation because, I mean, look at me. I'm full Mexican. But you could just think I'm a white male and I probably have that privilege as just look and feel. But I'm not. I represent women in a certain way that I can, in the most way I can. But I think it's important just to have the different, at the end of the day, is to have different points of views and different opinions in the room. I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing.
Boy, I agree with you 1,000%. If we all look the freaking same or come from the same place, there's nothing to learn. There's no
100%.
change.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
no innovation.
Exactly.
Everything stays the same. So
You're at a
yes, we
point.
need to make more space.
Yeah, 100%. You said it better than I did.
No, I'm with you, and that's something that I fight all constantly. Absolutely. So I'm with you on that, and I think right now in the current climate that we live in, it's extra important that we support one another and continue to open doors for one another and leverage any privileges that we have to continue to shine the spotlight on those who are doing great work.
100%. Yeah. And that's something that I think Casa Lumbre, not only myself, but Casa Lumbre tries to do the best we can is give the people the spotlight that might not otherwise have it, give those opportunities to people that, are not in the Tales of the Cocktail 50 Best, et cetera, awards that, it's the same names coming up, and congrats to all of them. I'm absolutely not saying anything negative about that, but who are those like rising stars and those people that have it that just need either a little bit more motivation, a little bit more support in any sense? How do we get them up there? A rising tide lifts all boats sort of thing is sort of a saying that I truly agree with.
Well, yeah, and you're so part of that group. I did read on the Tales of the Cocktail website, and I think that you know where I'm going with this, and we must talk about it. You're so humble over there. Oh my goodness gracious. To talk about, you made it to the top 10 for the Tales of the Cocktail Spirits Awards as Best U.S. Brand Ambassador. And I do want to spend a minute talking about this, not only to congratulate you, because really only the best make it into the top 10. I believe, especially when we're talking about the brand ambassador category, it is those who are the most inclusive. It is those who lean into education, who really love, their gigs and what their the brand portfolio and what you're working with. But also, I do believe the best not only lean into the brands, but also to create a sense of community, right? When they're in that space with hospitality. And you've done it. Congratulations. It's marvelous.
Thank
Just
you very
wonderful.
much.
So what does this nomination mean to you?
It means a lot. I think one of the reasons why it means the most is I put it in my, I might not have a vision board, which I should, but I wrote it down. I put it somewhere other than just thinking it in my head. It was one of my goals, I think, since I started with Casa Lumbre, was to be recognized for my work. And I put it out there. I want to be nominated for I want to make top 10, at least the third year of my career. And what it means to me and why it means to me so much is because the judges and the people who vote for you are all industry professionals that also did a ton of hard work to get where they at. So the fact that they recognize my work is just like a little tap on the back to keep going. And it's not so much about making top 4 or winning. That the fact that you're top 10, and I know people say this, but I truly mean it. I felt like I've won already. Like, it just feels great to be recognized for your work. And I can't wait to just push it more. And me going into 4 or 1, that's besides the point. The fact is, we're here. People recognize you. Keep going, keep working hard, and keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing something right.
You are absolutely doing something right. And you do need to rejoice in this moment.
Yeah.
And I hope that you are. I hope you're celebrating. I hope you're, staying super positive about it. And it really is the journey. But just to make it to that top 10, it's not a small thing. And I can tell you just personally, I think I'm a lot older than you, but there was this soap opera star called Susan Lucci who was on All My Children. And she was nominated for like a daytime Emmy Award more than anybody in her category ever, like 21 times. I am the Susan Lucci of the Tales of the Cocktail Mentor Award. I've been nominated more than anybody. And I always say, I was not nominated this year. That's fine. But I'm like, gosh, I don't even want to win at this point. It's just so nice, when people think of you.
100%.
Right. It's just so nice to see your name on that list. So I'm super proud of you.
Thank you. And congrats to you as well. That's also, again, a huge honor to be on the top 10. And the fact that you did it multiple times.
Dude, it's over 10 times. Yeah. It's so stupid.
Really?
But I say every year, like I didn't even make a top 10 this year. I don't even care. But I'm like, golly, I just hope I never, ever win. Just keep every once in a while seeing your name bubble up. It's cool.
I think once you get nominated over 20 times, you automatically just win.
You're just old. That's old and decrepit.
Age is just a number. Age is just a number.
Oh, I love you. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about your brands.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your brands. Okay. So what are you most excited about in your portfolio? What is in your portfolio? Is there anything new or unexpected that's coming out in the future?
Yes.
What can you share? What can you share?
Everything. There you go. That's a better question.
Yes.
So the thing that I'm most excited about right now is Almave, which is a distilled non-alcoholic blue agave spirit. In short, I'm not gonna don't come after me, CRT, but a non-alcoholic tequila is what most people that maybe don't work in this industry will just say, a non-alcoholic tequila. But it's a distilled blue agave spirit, and it's it's the only one out of all the non-alcoholics, and that category is booming. It's the only one using actual real agave plants. So it's really, really awesome. We have Ivan Saldaña, who's our master distiller, known for Montelobos and Ancho Reyes and Abasolo, and I'll keep going in a little bit. But he actually, the idea was not his, which is great. The story comes because Lewis Hamilton, who is a Formula One world champion, he's the most successful driver in history and an amazing person, just one of the most beautiful human beings. He came because he fell in love with tequila at a younger age, but he doesn't drink because of his rigorous schedule of traveling the world and driving all the time and training. So he was like, I want to create something that I can order at a bar. I'm tired of this ginger ale, ginger beer, mojito without alcohol sort of things, all this like sugar stuff. I want something real, authentic for it to represent agave or tequila, and for me to be able to drink multiple without having a harder time to get up the next day or getting intoxicated. So he came with the idea, and Ivan originally was like, man, I don't know. Like all we've done is alcohol. Like I've never done a non-alcoholic program. So he kind of paused and he went back to Lewis and he said, all right, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it the right way. And we're going to do it as the way it should be respected to the raw material agave. And that's where Almave came. So the name itself, Alma, soul, and agave. So the soul of agave in a bottle. So that's the thing that I'm most excited about. We have now Blanco and Ambar. We have something coming very soon, which I don't know if I can speak about, but Bridget will make sure to get your address and get you there.
And we'll have you back on.
Yes, there you go. So we have something coming softly end of summer, maybe beginning of fall, maybe during like Latin Heritage Month. But I'm excited for that. So Almave has been super exciting just to receive, to be part of the conversations of speaking of, inclusion and diversity. Is a lot of people don't drink, but they still want to celebrate. They still want to drink beautiful things. A lot of people go, why? Like when I taste them on Almave, like why? And I'm like, what do you mean why? Well, like why? You don't get buzzed, you don't get drunk. And I just simply say, well, do you eat to just get full or do you eat for flavor? And then they kind of sit back and they go, oh, all right, well, whatever. Those people I'm not even trying to convince. I'm not here to convince everyone. I get it. But this is the thing, that non-alcoholic conversation is so good. And there's some people that are pioneering this space and doing so well. The guys at Pathfinder, Josh Harris at Trick Dog, like his story is really, really amazing. So all of these people that are kind of fighting to say, hey guys, the non-alcoholic section doesn't need to be all the way in the back menu, and it doesn't need to be a Coke, Sprite, or an orange juice. Like let's elevate our game. You need to put as much thought, if not more, into your non-alcoholic cocktail programs, because as we know, non-alcoholic cocktails are actually harder to create than regular cocktails because of the dilution, because of the flavor, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the thing I'm most excited about. It's amazing to be able to visit 17, 20 bars a day and feel great the next day. So that's really, really cool. We do this thing called the Almave Circuit, Everywhere the Formula One race goes, we're starting to grow, but everywhere like Austin, Miami, Mexico City, and Vegas, we're doing an Almavi circuit. We feature bars and bartenders that are featuring non-alcoholic cocktails, and we do a little circuit. So we'll have 10, 20 accounts. And yeah, it's super cool to go to all of those, be able to have something delicious and not like continue the next day. So that's the thing I'm most excited about.
I hope that message spreads, that like, I love that you're popping up in the race world. Anything that has to do with entertainment, we need to have that option. We need to have another option. I'm speaking from recent experience as of like, I don't know, 15 hours ago, 20 hours ago, I was at Wrigley Field at the Post Malone Jelly Roll concert last night. And my dear, dear, dear friend Carrie was our designated driver. So she's like, hell, there's nothing. Like zero options. She's like, I guess I'm going to have a pop. I guess I'm going to have, a Coke or Diet Coke or whatever. But she's like, I really wish there were like that there was something here. So I literally heard that out of her mouth last night. So I know that there's a market for it, right? So I think it's wonderful that you're really starting off, moving this momentum with this brand in a space of entertainment, because car racing is entertainment.
Yep.
And there's
100%.
Definitely folks like her there that are like, well, what's my option? Maybe I don't want an orange juice, like you said.
And at the end of the day, that really what it is more about not having the option, it's more about hospitality. For me to be able to create or have something for the person that I'm drinking, and I'm putting such care and love and enjoyment of fulfilling her or his taste or preference for the night, is really all part of hospitality. And we're at a point that if you do not have a non-alcoholic cocktail section on your menu, you're not offering hospitality at its fullest.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really do. I agree with you 1,000%. What else is in your portfolio for us to get excited about?
Yeah. So the fun thing about Casa Lumbre is that it's an incubator and an innovator. I know we use those words, but incubator, we create brands from scratch, 360, bottle, design, story, and product. And the whole focus of Casa Lumbre, their ethos and I would say kind of motto is to trap the biological, the cultural, and the sensorial aspect of Mexico into spirit form. So when you see the bottle, when you taste it, when you know the story, you kind of get transcended into Mexico. So the first one that started here in the US, Casa Lumbre started with Montelobos and Ancho Reyes. Those are now off with Campari. But the first one that here we started in the US was Ava Solo whiskey. It's a Mexican ancestral corn whiskey, and it's the only one that's ever used the nixtamalization process. For those of you who don't know what nixtamalization is, it's the same process where you take corn and you turn it into gold. And what I mean by gold is you turn it into masa. You change the chemical structure. You add more nutrition, more flavor, more aroma. We've all had a fresh tamale or tortilla, but essentially it's the only one in the world that uses this process, this ancient process. So Abasolo whiskey, a Mexican whiskey. Mexico is not really known for aged spirits. We're doing something, again, that is innovation. And we also have Nixta, Licor de Lote, a beautiful corn bottle. And that's actually kind of what sealed the deal for me to work for Casa Lumbre. So I can go back to that story in a little bit. So Nixta, Licor de Lote. We have Las Californias gin, about a dual origin Baja California gin. We have two expressions, Noche Luna Sotol. We have Contraluz. It's the first ever Cristalino Mezcal. And we just recently launched the Cristalino Tequila. And Alma Finca, an orange liqueur that's also amazing from Yucatan. So Yucatan is the citrus capital of Mexico. We have this beautiful Naranja Amarga, bitter orange, sort of the size of a grapefruit, the color of a lime, but it's the most beautiful and delicious orange you'll ever have. And so we use it to cook cochinita pibil and do other things in that region, but it's a beautiful orange. So it's a natural orange liqueur, 40%. That is, I think, the best orange liqueur. And I know that sounds biased, but I'm telling you the truth. It's the best orange liqueur on the market. And then, of course, Almave was the newest baby.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so great. Can you tell us what your favorite cocktail is?
My favorite.
Yeah, I know. Putting you on the spot.
Do I have to?
Come
yeah.
on.
No, I think my first ever. It's funny the transitions, because I get this question. It all depends on mood, on time of day, and bar. We all know that, right? But I think if I had a guilty pleasure cocktail that I ever had to drink, and people that know me will know this answer, is a grasshopper. A grasshopper to me is amazing.
I love the grasshopper. No one's ever said that on this show.
Yeah.
We're going to be best friends. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Did we just become best friends?
I think we just became besties.
Beautiful. I love it. So we'll have some grasshoppers in New Orleans or Chicago or wherever. But grasshopper is if I have my what they call the death row meal, that would be it. I'm also a sucker for like a piña colada. I created this version of it, which is called the maíz colada or the corn colada. So I do split base abasolo, para nubes rum or charanda, something like that. Nice and funky, a little bit of Nixta, and then the rest is the same, Coco Lopez, lime, and just put that in a little NutriBullet or blender. And man, that's perfect for summer.
It sounds delicious.
Yeah.
So, that sounds amazing. I love it. I love that you're not boring. You didn't mention any drinks that are boring at all. It was very surprising.
I love it.
Always you're like, I love an old fashioned. I'm like, yeah, we all do. But grasshopper, hell yeah.
A grasshopper all day.
That's great. Do you have any advice for our listeners that are curious about beverage and, would love to enter the industry, but maybe just don't know how to do it?
Yeah. I think it's the best industry in the world. I'll say it over and over again. We are a ton of characters, misfits, beautiful souls, and just everywhere in between. So I think I think it is the best industry in the world. We get to do some really amazing stuff and meet some beautiful people. So for anyone entering the business, I think is sort of asking yourself, what do you want out of it? Are you going in because it's cool, because you think you'll get some sort of like boost of ego? Are you doing it because you love people? Because guess what? The biggest part of this is relationship building and people and talking with people and meeting human beings and knowing when to talk and knowing when to listen. So that's a big part. If you're not a people person, I'm not saying you can't get there, but if you just think all humans are dumb, annoying, etc., or some sort of pessimistic view, then maybe this is not the career for you. You need to have love and care for humans, and for it to bring joy like it does to me. Making people happy makes me the happiest. So there needs to be that little cycle. And if you are a people person and you love, having these conversations and meeting new people, I think the best thing to do is kind of, again, go to a restaurant that is, the Cheesecake Factory, the Chili's, the Applebee's, all of those things that have a solid foundation. Get in there. Know that you're not going to go straight to bartending if that's your ultimate goal. You need to start as a host or busser or whatever. There needs to be a progression. I think we live in a time of instant gratification, and you get what you want right away. And it just does not work that way in real life. So get some experience. You're going to have some failures. Failures are the best learning tools. And then you work your way up. And then eventually when you outgrow the Chili's of the world, the Applebee's, and I keep mentioning these restaurants, but once you outgrow that, then go to your craft cocktail bar or to a place that's a little bit more elevated and start learning. There's a bunch of information. We live in the AI world now, YouTube. It used to be books for me, but really having someone, a mentor, someone that you look up to, that you'll take their advice and learn from. I think that's the best way, because I think a lot of people think it's, I went to bartending school and I got my certificate. I'm ready to bartend. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. Great. I'm glad some classes. They're probably teaching B52s and something else. But the world has changed, and people always say, what is the best cocktail? Or, what can you make me? And it's really not. It's what does the guest want? And that's going to be the best cocktail. Or food or whatever it may be. So I think getting some experience, read some books, watch some videos, know that you're not going to start where you want to be. Go lower. Do not aim for that, but let that be your 3-5 year goal. I mean, I've been in this industry, I think it's about 17, 18 years now, somewhere around there. And I am where I am, but I put a lot of hard work and continued dedication. And I do this pretty much 100% of the time. So it's no instant gratification.
Yeah, that's really good advice. We should put that on a t-shirt. There's no instant gratification in hospitality. There's not. There's absolutely not. And only because you mentioned it, you did mention like everybody should find a mentor and how important that is. How does someone find a mentor?
Oh, that's actually a good. Well, I think my mentors, and they didn't know this, so I didn't reach out to them at the time. I just looked up to certain people, but Charlotte Voisey was one of them. I saw people like Sean Kenyon. I mean, Camille Austin. It was one, and it was so awesome to have the connection that I'm like, wow, now I'm under my mentor. But there was just certain people. So, talk about tails. There's your list right there. There's 10 people that go follow them on Instagram, go see what they've done, go look them up. Where did they start? Where are they now? And what do they do? And what are their ethos, beliefs, and what they think makes this industry great? And start learning from them. I mean, you don't have to directly contact them. I'm sure any of them will be happy to share anything, but Lauren Moat and all of these people, they've been in the game. Ask them some questions. And the best mentors and brand ambassadors are not gatekeepers. They will share all the information they want because they want to see you grow. So go after that,
I love that. They're not gatekeepers. And I believe it's also because they've made all the mistakes. So you don't have to.
Yeah. But you still will. But
you still will.
You don't have to, but
there's a lot of them
will.
you can avoid because all those pitfalls, they've already done for, over the course of their career. So there's just so much to learn from. Yeah. We just take the time with one another. And with that, I want to thank you so much for being on Served Up. You said you will be at Tales of the Cocktail.
I will definitely be at Tales of the Cocktail. So would hope to see you there. Slide into the DM, say hello, and let's meet up.
I would love that. I'm actually going this year and I'm bringing my daughter.
Yes.
And my daughter turned 21 last October.
Oh, perfect.
So yeah, I'm bringing her. So
can we all have a grasshopper together?
She's never had one.
Perfect.
And we're just going to tell her, yep, you're going to love this page. I love it. Well, thank you again. And I want to wish you just a ton of health and a lot of peace. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Wishing you nothing but the same and even better. So thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening. Served Up is brought to you by Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits. Produced by Zunu.online. Music by We Killed the Lion can be found on Spotify. Make sure to subscribe to be notified of our future Served Up episodes. Cheers.